Hey there, REM PCs. Welcome to Rules of Cool, where we interview very special guests, creators, gamers, designers, and world builders. I'm your host, Rem, and today we're going to chat with returning guest, Bill Keys from Mobius World Publishing, who's the creator behind the Blood and Justice setting of Prowlers and Paragons. The new villain supplement for Blood and Justice, Nocturne by Night, is now live on Kickstarter. So check out the link in chat. You won't want to miss it. This week's giveaway is a Shadowrun 6th World Core Rulebook Seattle Edition in PDF. Type hashtag RemPC in the chat for your free entry to win. And for bonus entries, go to www.remalternus.com/Nguyen and patreon.com/remalternus. Your support helps pay our cast and crew, so we greatly appreciate it. We do have some news in the Rem Alternus world. First, Coddlesworth's Clockwork Circus, issue 2 of the steampunk fantasy graphic series is still live on Kickstarter for another 6 days. So we're getting close to the goal and we're running low on time. So help us get there by heading to remalternus.com/kick and get your free copy of issue 1 on Drive-Thru Comics. By doing pay what you want, which 0 is still a number, and leave us a review if whether or not you like it. We'd like to hear your thoughts. Second, don't forget to check out the Gelatinous Cube Soap Kickstarter we talked about last week with Cassie from Pure Alchemy Soaps. Get one or enough for your gaming table. Each cube comes with a dice set floating around inside, and there are more colors and scents planned for the stretch goals. So help us get there by going to www.remalternus.com/soap. Finally, we at REM are excited to announce that we are officially partnered with Catalyst Game Labs to run their next Shadowrun Kickstarter, Shadowrun Edge Zone, the upgradable card game. We are so excited for this opportunity since we clearly love Shadowrun so dearly. So check out the pre-launch page, link is in the chat, and follow the project, which officially launches September 20th. And next week, we'll be here for the one-shot show playing the trading card game, so you won't want to miss that either. Now, time to get right into our conversation this week, so stay tuned, REM PCs. Welcome back, everyone, and welcome back to my special guest for today, Bill Keys. How are you doing, Bill?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for inviting me.
Awesome. Yeah, great to have you back. I've gotten to talk to you a few times on a few different interview shows, and it's always fun to get your excitement and passion for what you do. So tell us a little bit about you before we kick into gaming.
Okay, a little bit about me. I've been gaming since forever. I picked up the original D&D hardbacks back in, I don't know, might be 1981, something like that. And I've been playing games ever since. I moved quickly from D&D to Champions because I love superheroes. And I played Champions for a very long time. I actually got my start in the gaming industry from Hero Games, the makers of Champions, because they needed someone to do layout for one of their books. It was the Lucha Libre book. Ooh. And I happened to be a fan, and I happened to be available and kind of know my stuff. So I did the layout for that, and I've done a bunch of other stuff for them afterwards as well. And now I'm with Mobius Worlds with Blood and Justice.
Awesome. Yeah. So Blood and Justice is a setting for Prowlers and Paragons. Right. So tell us about Prowlers and Paragons. Let's start there.
Okay. Well, Prowlers and Paragons is a superhero game that we worked on for a very long time. It's actually Prowlers and Paragons, the Ultimate Edition, because there was an earlier release that we've updated and fixed and made even better. It is a game in which I think it's a great game that gives you a real powerful superhero feel, because when you're rolling your dice, you're rolling handfuls of dice. And there's a lot satisfying about seeing, 10 or 12 dice clatter across the table and adding them all up.
I mean, it's why I like Shadowrun.
Right. Yeah, Shadowrun's another one that, there's a bunch of games that do that, Vampire and Exalted as well, but and it really helps you get into the feel for a superhero game.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. So what makes this rule set, besides rolling a lot of dice, what makes this rule set for Prowlers and Paragons stand out?
I think it's the rule set is both simple, but it's also detailed at the same time. Basically, you can build practically any kind of superhero character that you can imagine using these rules. But the superheroes you build tend to be a lot easier than, say, a Champions character or Mutants and Masterminds character. Play when you're sitting at the table is likewise very simple. You roll your dice and you add up your number of successes, and if you're making a opposed roll, then the person who you're in opposition to will also roll their dice and add up their successes, and whoever gets the higher number wins. But there are also a lot of tactical options that you can use in combat. You can do some crazy stuff. You can help your teammates. And the other thing that I really love about this game is that you can play an Avengers game, for instance, where you have both Hawkeye and Thor on the same team, and they don't feel like they're from completely different worlds. They feel like they work together. Hawkeye is not completely overshadowed. Thor is, while he may be the most powerful person on the board, there's things that he can't do that other characters can do. And I love
nice.
That.
So there's more of a balance there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So what was your role in creating and contributing to Prowlers?
My primary role was in playtesting. We playtested the heck out of this thing for literally years with different people, trying to make it just right, looking for flaws, finding holes, working out all the kinks, trying out different character builds, and different power levels as well. Everything from street level, which is Blood and Justice, all the way up to practically nearly gods like the Justice League, Superman and Wonder Woman and Martian Manhunter, those kinds of characters. So yeah, we spent a lot of time doing that, and that's kind of my primary. When we were writing the rules, that was my goal.
Cool. All right. So what is Blood and Justice then, and how does it relate to Prowlers, and how did it come to be?
Okay, well, Blood and Justice is the first official world book for Prowlers and Paragons. It details a dark and gritty city called Nocturne, which sits in the middle of a swamp and is filled with crime and corruption. And it's a world that I spent quite literally decades playing in, building, and getting all the details just right. I think it feels like it's a real place with a real history. Yeah.
You had talked about in some of our conversations previously that it's still that superhero setting, but more in that gritty kind of darkened superhero setting. Like you've likened it to like Jessica Jones or Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
What inspires you to take, because usually I don't know, maybe it's just me, but from my perspective, when I think about superheroes, I think about the Superman buff guy in spandex and kind of bright and noble and doing the right thing at all costs and stuff like that, but some of the darkness doesn't come into that vision. So what inspired you to create this world that is a little darker reality?
Hmm. My original inspiration was actually the movie The Crow with Brandon Lee.
Ah,
That came out in the early 90s, I guess. I don't remember exactly when, but the first time I saw that movie, I just felt like I was like, wow, there's so much heroism here, but there's also so much villainy. And the Crow is sort of straddling the line between good and evil and trying to punish evil while still maintaining his own soul. And I thought, wow, that is so different from so many other things that I've seen. Because I've been a comic book fan forever, since I was a little kid. And I saw this and I was like, wow, this is so different and so unique and so interesting that I want to run a game in that. And that's where Nocturne originally came from. Was after seeing The Crow, I built a Champions campaign in the city, and it just kind of skyrocketed or spiraled up from there.
cool. So, how kind of talking about, we've talked about the setting and the inspiration for that. How does the book for Blood and Justice support creating these deeper and troubled heroes and stories?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's there's a question that you could ask yourself: what's the difference between a vigilante and a villain, right? If everybody's got guns and everybody sometimes has to resort to lethal solutions to problems, how do you distinguish between good and evil? Um, and that's kind of a major theme in Blood and Justice, is how far can the heroes go before they become the villains too? What are the heroes fighting for? Are they just fighting for vengeance? Are they just fighting for to destroy everybody who opposes them? Or are they fighting for a higher cause? And I think that's such an important distinction, um, and it's something that I really try to get into in these books.
Awesome. All right. So tell us a favorite story of a game that you've run from Blood and Justice, to help
Mhm.
us get a feel for the game world characters.
Okay, sure. I have so many because I've run this setting for so many years, decades almost. But I'm currently running a campaign right now with my regular group. We meet about every other week, and they are a group of kind of a very strange group of magic powered heroes, because there's a lot of magic in this world. And they ended up running afoul of a villain group called the Cleansing Flame, who are going to be in the Nocturne by Night book when it comes out.
Ooh.
And they are technologically based villains, and they have been sort of making themselves out to be the heroes. Like they are shiny and bright and brightly colored and everything, and they will get on TV and be like, "We're the heroes. We put out this fire." But in reality, they're working very hard to destroy people's lives, and they've been a major thorn in the hero side for quite a while. And when they finally got to meet on the battlefield, the Cleansing Flame just got their butts kicked.
Oh,
The
I mean,
heroes,
good.
you know, it went kind of touch and go for a while. Both sides were kind of on top and then below and then on top again, and then just I don't know, the dice just changed, or I can't even describe what happened, but just suddenly the good guys just pounded the bad guys into oblivion and sent them screaming back to mama. And it was so satisfying for my players to finally kick these guys butts.
Awesome. Oh, that's really cool. I love those kinds of stories that that leave an imprint, and you just want to tell those your the tales of your characters, the tales of your worlds down the line.
Yeah.
Um, so, all right, changing topics to the big news. So tell us about Nocturne by Night and how it relates to Blood and Justice.
Okay, sure. Nocturne by Night is a book of villains, some which are horrifying, some which are possibly sympathetic. And all of these villains add details and different options to a game of Blood and Justice. Um, and also, while these villains are specifically built for Blood and Justice, you could easily port most of them to just about any type of Prowlers and Paragons game. There's details in the book about how to do that, who might be appropriate to move over into a different city or a different world pretty easily.
Cool.
And yeah, and you could use these villains for like one shots, or you could use them for campaigns. You could use the villain teams, like I told you about the cleansing flame. You can bring them in as kind of long term thorn in your hero's sides, or even just we found him, we fought him, we beat him, and now this is over.
Neat. I like how you say that, where it's the continuing thorn in the side, where it's like, how many times is Batman gonna have to fight the Joker? Like,
Right.
he just keeps coming back.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. So a book filled with villains, what can we expect for that in terms of how it's going to impact gameplay?
Okay. Well, the book is going to contain about 60 plus villains. They range in power from actual gods to just sort of ordinary people who have a few special skills that make them more formidable. And they range sort of in personality from, there are some who are absolute remorseless murderers, all the way down to people who the heroes might become allies with, after a fight or after an argument, they could become friends. And so there's a real wide variety of of villains. um, and a real wide variety of how bad these villains are. Like, do you want to fight them? Do you want to befriend them? In one case, in my campaign, they dealt with an actual god of the storm, and eventually they decided that they couldn't fight him. He was way too powerful, so they just sort of convinced him that it was time for him to leave.
Oh wow.
And it's really cool because it gives you different options about how you can play these villains.
Neat. I like that a lot. Now, having so many villains, and we've got the Blood and Justice book and now Nocturne by Night, are any of these villains able to be converted to playable?
Yes, absolutely. There are a few villains. Well, I wouldn't even call them villains, maybe anti-heroes or vigilantes themselves, who you could easily put into a campaign. The heroes could inspire them to change their ways, or the heroes could help. In one case, there's a villain who's essentially, she's a walking disease because of a scientific experiment went wrong. But if the heroes can find some way to cure her, then she could become some kind of a great ally.
Neat.
Like that.
That's cool. Cool. Yeah. So having a huge number of villains, you said over 60 villains in this book. What's your inspiration for creating nuanced, different characters? Like, how do you not run out and kind of they start to become too similar?
That is a great question. It's something that I kind of struggle with a lot, because one of the things in Blood and Justice is that there are no aliens, really. There aren't Atlanteans or mole people or anything like that. The heroes and the villains come from sort of a limited number of places. They can be magical, they can be technological. So creating unique villains with those constraints was tough, but I think I did a really good job. And I took a lot of inspiration from the comic books that I grew up with. There are villains in here that you may recognize. You'll look at them and you'll say, well, this is, I'm not going to mention any names, but when you see the book, I don't want to get in trouble or anything, but when you see the book, you'll recognize classical archetypes that have been in the comic books forever. But at the same time, there's a lot of stuff that just came from my own imagination, stuff that, just sometimes from my own nightmares even.
And I think that's fair, because sometimes it's you want that original bad guy that brings something new to your game, or sometimes you just, especially if you're an uber fan of something and you just want to go beat up Loki because Loki, like
Right.
you want that familiar element. So that's really cool. Neat. So what I just lost my train of thought there. Let's see if I can get it back here. Talking about the Kickstarter itself, what are the rewards available?
We tried to keep the Kickstarter pretty simple. You can get the PDF, which is, I believe, $15. So a real bargain for that. You can get, there's soft cover for Nocturne by Night. And right now there's an early bird special for it. You can get it for $25. That's only for today, though.
Yeah,
after today it goes
today's
up.
the last day. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a hardcover also, which I believe is $45. And also currently it is early bird special. And after today, it'll go up.
Okay.
And you can also pick up the core Prowlers and Paragons Ultimate Edition rules. And you can also pick up the Blood and Justice core book, the Welcome to Nocturne. So
neat.
Those are all different.
And those are as add-ons. So once you pledge for the soft cover, the PDF, or the hardcover, then you can add on for the Prowlers and Paragons Ultimate Edition or the Blood and Justice book as well.
Right.
Cool. Okay. Now, what about planned stretch goals? I like talking about stretch goals.
Yeah, I love the stretch goals idea. What our stretch goal is it's going to be a 5-part adventure. Every time we hit a stretch goal, we'll be unlocking another part of this adventure.
Cool.
It's going to be kind of some people call it a plot point campaign, where you move from one point to the next, so it's all related, and it's all going to be kind of a big epic major event in the history of Nocturne, the final part. So yeah, we're looking forward to writing that.
Cool. I really like that idea of as you stretch to these additional goals, you unlock more and more story to it's like getting a new level.
Yeah, and each adventure is going to be standalone as well. So if you just want to run part 2 or part 4 or whatever, then you certainly can. But if you want to run them all together as a campaign, then boom, there it is for you.
Awesome. Okay. So, and then I believe I saw something on the Kickstarter as well about cards.
Yes, there's also going to be villain cards. They're going to be tarot-sized cards, and I believe that what we've got, the idea is that there's going to be a picture of the villain on one side, and then the villain's stats on the other. So you can put them up for the game master can put them up and show his or her players what they're fighting or who they're fighting. And then on the back, you've got the villain's stats.
Oh, cool.
So the game master has everything in front of them.
Neat. Oh, I kind of like that, where the big bad appears and you can actually put it out in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
Plus artwork. Who doesn't love artwork?
Yeah.
Are there any other plans for new products or Kickstarters in the works?
Yeah, Mobius has big plans for the future. We've got a couple of new Prowlers and Paragons worlds that we're going to be hopefully putting out soon. We've got Michael Serbrook is going to be doing a world called Well of the Worlds, which is best described as a isekai type of world where people from the normal Earth suddenly find themselves in this weird world of fantasy and magic and weird science, kind of like John Carter of Mars, where he finds himself in this weird world, or and there's been dozens and dozens of animes about it. So.
I always think of Inuyasha. You go down the well.
Yeah, Inuyasha, definitely. The original D&D cartoon from the 80s, where they got on a roller coaster and found themselves in a D&D world.
Yeah.
So yeah, Well of the Worlds. We've also got Darren Watts is going to be doing a book on the Silver Age of superheroes, kind of from the late the 1950s to the early 1970s, kind of that cool time period when Stan Lee was at his best and coming up with all kinds of weird, crazy, world-shattering stuff.
Neat.
And our chief operating officer, James Felder, is going to be coming up with a sort of a steampunk world called Her Majesty's Rogues and Scoundrels.
Ooh.
And he's also got a sort of a Mad Max type world, which I think is called the Diesel Gods. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's something like that. But yeah, it's a Mad Max world in which fuel is the most important resource. You got to keep moving.
Cool. So with all of that coming from Mobius, I definitely want to shout out. I think Kender Mage or Billy the Berserker is our mod today. So Billy, if you wouldn't mind putting the Facebook page for Mobius, I think that'd be great because that way people can follow along. And that's something that like rebuilding your audience after transitioning from Evil Beagle Games to Mobius, you know, we want to make sure that as many people know and flip over as possible. So
yeah.
Cool. All right, so it sounds like there's a ton going on.
Right.
So for Nocturne, or even Blood and Justice, I want to kind of get some story time from you. So I know you've run this a lot at conventions. You know, people just on social media, I see like, oh, Bill ran this for me at this con, and I had a lot of fun, and now I'm a super fan and stuff like that. So what are some of your favorite characters that you've seen created for Blood and Justice, or your favorite con stories of what's happened that you've gotten to run for?
Wow, I've run this game so many times. I ran a version of this game. I kind of flipped the script and I basically said, you guys are all playing villains instead of vigilantes. You're playing the bad guys. Essentially, the idea was that the main superhero, the main hero of the world of Nocturne had been killed, and so now all of the villains were like, well, nobody's going to stop us, we can do anything we want. I ran this game at a convention and the players they got so silly. They were not evil villains at all. They were kind of stupid villains.
I love those though.
They ended up, it was so funny. I laughed the entire time. They stole a fire truck, and they decided that they needed a fire dog, so they kidnapped somebody's dog. And when they ended up robbing the bank, and they got away with like $10,000, and they decided that there were 4 villains, and they decided that they had to split the money up evenly between all of them, including the dog. So they walk away. Everybody walks away with $2,000, including the dog, and they just put a sack of money around this dog's neck and let him go.
Oh, go get him, pupper.
Right. And they just it was so hilarious that they just went so crazy, and I had such a good time with it. I don't know if I could ever run it again, because I don't know if that game would ever be topped.
That's pretty great. I got to play something a week ago for Sarah's table here on Gen Con, and I'm blanking on what the name of the game is, which sucks because it was so much fun. I'll have to find it and drop it in chat. But it was your villains, your bad guys who have borrowed money from a loan shark and payment is due. So you find this portal to a like really happy fantasy world. And you go rob everyone in the fantasy world until you can pay off your debts. And so the creating your character is like 3 roles, and you get like silly traits. Like mine was you're at ease telling lies or something like that. So which I am not at ease telling lies. So I kind of get nervous. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna make this silly. So I named my character Princess Porcupine. And I just started saying that we were royalty and come from a long line of insert whatever I felt like. So it was, oh yes, we come from a long line of makeup artists and cartographers and you know, whatever else came up that I wanted to lie and say I was experienced in. So yeah, playing the silly villains is just really memorable, and I think a really great bonding experience. Sometimes playing the serious villains is emotionally taxing, which is fun in its own way with the right group and the right time. But yeah, silly villains is a lot of fun. Right. I need to find out what that game is called because I want it. It's like one of those one-page RPGs.
Yeah, it sounds fun. It sounds cool.
Yeah. Because, first thing, if I ever found a portal to a fantasy world, my thought would be to go in to rob everyone.
Rob it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's see. I just want to do a.
What else?
Quick... What was that? I'm sorry.
Nothing. I was just laughing.
So where we're at with the Kickstarter right now, you're at 52 backers, which is great. We've got this is a little bit of a shorter Kickstarter. We didn't do a full 30 days, but we're at $1,769 of the $6,500 goal. What does the goal cover? What was that designed to do?
Okay, so the Kickstarter's covering art and writing and layout, and of course printing the books and distributing. Basically everything is done right now. Almost everything is done. Everything is written. The book is all completely laid out. We have almost all the artwork in. We're waiting for maybe 10 or 12 new pieces of art.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, it is ready to go out the door.
That's great.
Or just about ready. And by the time the Kickstarter is over and everybody's filled in their backer kit and all that stuff, we should be just about ready to send it right out the door.
Awesome. Well, so what this is kind of, if I'm understanding, your second Kickstarter, because Blood and Justice would have been first.
Correct. That's
How does it feel seeing your work out there and promoted and people supporting and funding it?
Oh my God, it feels it's amazing to actually hold my book in my hands. Actually having a physical copy of this with artwork and with a hardcover, and it's something else. It's hard to describe if you've never done it. If you've never written a book and had it in your hands, I don't know how to describe it.
Cool. So I keep going back to your gaming experiences and stuff like that, but if you could have a table, whether you're a player or the GM, and you could just fill the table with like your gaming heroes, like the best people that you can think of to play with, whether celebrity, friends, whatever it might be, who would be at that table?
I've been lucky enough to have sat in on, especially at con games, to sit in with just the greatest role players at Gen Con, at Genghis Con here in Denver. I got the opportunity to play at Ross Watson's table, who is very famous for his work in the 40K universe. And he ran a game called Shadows Angelus, which is sort of a cyberpunk magic, strange world filled with demons. And we just had such a dream table. There were maybe four of us at the four other players at the table. And we just had so much fun. We all got into character, and we did some crazy stuff. And eventually we figured out and solved the mystery. But yeah, it was one of my fondest memories of gaming, honestly.
Awesome. And what about your favorite, aside from Blood and Justice and Prowlers and Paragons, obviously, but aside from that, what would be like the dream to work on and write for in terms of your favorite games?
I'd love to have a shot at writing something for D&D, 5th edition. I'm really, really fond of the 5th edition rules, to be honest. I've played D&D almost since the beginning, and I really, really enjoy 5th edition a lot. So a lot of the stuff that they've put out is really cool, and I've enjoyed it, and I would love to have the opportunity to be part of that as well.
What are some of your favorite publications for 5e that have been put out?
I really like Tasha's. That was a great book. And it sort of began the process of altering the rules to make them a little more updated for the modern world, changing some of the stuff for the races, and making it so that not all monsters, not all orcs, for instance, are automatically chaotic evil.
Yeah.
Which I really liked. And it's something that I've used in my own games as well for a long time.
Right.
So Tasha's was great. I just picked up the new Spelljammer book, or it's actually 3 books.
Oh yeah.
And I haven't had a chance to crack it open yet because I've got so much other stuff on my pile to read first. But I'm very excited about it because I was a huge Spelljammer fan back for second edition. So I can't wait to see what they did with it.
Oh, neat. Okay. Yeah, I have the same problem where I think I have several D&D books where I'm like, ooh, I like the cover or the content of this one, and then I haven't read them yet, so they just sit on my shelf waiting for the time to come.
Yeah.
The endless reading pile.
Yeah, I can buy books faster than I can read them, unfortunately. So,
Yeah, that's the great reader's dilemma, I think.
Yeah.
Well, we are getting close to the end of session, and I know that we have a game to prep for that is going to be aired on the Kickstarter page within the next couple days. So again, don't forget to go to that Kickstarter link, back the project, follow the project, so that you can see this interview will be posted there, in addition to anything to the game that we're going to play of Nocturne by Night. And so I want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to follow you, learn more about what you do. So where can we find you?
I am on Facebook all the time. So that's probably the best place to contact me. You can look up, I go by Matthew Keys on Facebook. That's my middle name. I think I can post this in the chat, maybe. Let's see. Yeah. So that's
Hey.
that's where you can find me on Facebook. If you have any questions or anything about Prowlers and Paragons or Blood and Justice or anything, we have a really active Prowlers and Paragons Facebook group also.
Great.
And oops, let me post that if I can find it.
Yeah, please give all the links, because we want to rebuild that community that from the olden days as we spring forward into new adventures. So
right. So that's our Prowlers and Paragons Facebook group, which is, like I said, is very active. If you ever have any questions about the rules or how to build a particular type of character or anything like that.
Oh, I think Facebook is blocking links from you, but I know Billy, you can post. I don't know what it must be the settings or something. Make sure we don't get hate rated or something like that. So Billy, if you can find the Prowlers and Paragons Facebook page and give it a post. And Bill, I can drop your Facebook link in as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then don't forget to also look on Facebook. If you search for Mobius Worlds Publishing, you'll find the Facebook page for them right there.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add or say about your work, your Kickstarter?
I'm just so excited to finally get this out to people. I think people will be absolutely delighted when they see it. These villains are really cool. Some of them are super unique. The kind of stuff that I don't think anybody's seen before. I'm so eager for people to get their hands on this and see what's going on.
Cool. One more little teaser that I forgot about that we had prepared. Why don't we talk about a couple of your characters that you wanted us to show here on stream?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Almost forgot about
we
that.
Forgot that.
Can we pull those
Our tech did so much work to pull those up, so I don't want to be like, hey, thanks. Whoops. So we'll take a few extra minutes for that. I'm fine with that.
Okay, sure.
So as soon as Tom has that pulled up, which one should we talk about first?
Let's bring up Curse first.
Okay. So as Tom is bringing up, great, Curse is up on the screen.
Okay.
Talk to us about Curse.
Curse is she's a magical thief, but she doesn't steal like jewels or money or things like that. She actually steals magic. Ooh. So she goes around the world looking for people with unique magical powers, and she steals them from you because she is trying to amass this collection of magic. She is I love the illustration of her. That's John Ridley did that illustration, and she looks great. She's covered with magical talismans and things that she's stolen, but She doesn't just steal talismans, she also has the power to steal your actual magical abilities.
She
So how do you fight her if you're a
bending.
magician? She's a tough one.
Yeah.
She can steal your bending. Yeah.
Awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
she's really cool. So scary for mages.
Yeah.
So what do you need to rely on your less magical friends to beat her up for you?
You got to find some way to stop her. Yeah. She tends to ignore people who don't have magic. So if there's a good way to beat her, it's probably to use, if you've got any friends who don't use magic.
That's awesome.
But yeah, she's powerful even without being able to steal your spells, because she has so many that she's already stolen.
That's cool. I kind of want to play curse. All right. So who do we have next?
Can we put up I think Ghostmaker?
Ghostmaker. That's a positive, sunny name.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Thanks. Ghostmaker is one of those characters that you will recognize if you're a comic book reader. He is based off of a very famous Marvel anti-hero. He fights crime. Crime is the disease and he is the cure sort of guy. He is a former military special forces operative who, when he came back to the States after being in several different bush wars around the world, he decided that crime was there's just too much going on, too much evil was being let to run the streets, and he decided to take matters into his own hands, armed himself with all the weaponry he could, and he goes around and he kills criminals. And this can be a problem because he doesn't really he doesn't really care who he kills. You might heroes who are trying to take down the main mob boss, they might capture a sub-lieutenant, someone minor, and say, if you spill all of the information that we'll let you live. Well, he doesn't do that. He just kills them. So
and is the definition of a criminal his definition of a criminal? Like, if I go to the store and steal some Tic Tacs off the shelf, is he going to come on me down?
He probably wouldn't kill you for jaywalking or stealing a loaf of bread, but if you're involved in any of the organized crime groups or anything like that, even if you're a small member, if you're just like just a minor drug pusher or something like that, he would probably shoot you.
He's coming for you. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Tough love there. All right. And who's our last one?
Who is our last one? I can't remember who I sent you now. Ladanya. Yes, Ladanya. Ladanya is when I mentioned earlier that there are actual gods that the heroes can fight against. Ladanya is one of them.
She's cool.
At least she claims to be. She claims to be the Aztec goddess of death, who has returned. And her whole thing is that she wants to start a new cult that worships her and that worships death. So she's extremely dangerous because her followers have absolutely no fear of dying. And she herself is extremely powerful as well, but she surrounds herself with cultists and with people who are either killers or don't care if they're killed. So, the heroes have to deal with that before they can deal with her.
Man, she is super cool. I love the art.
Yeah. Yeah, the art was done by a friend of mine, Matt James, who might be doing some more as well.
Cool. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you, friends in the audience, can check out these and 59 other villains by going to the Kickstarter page. The link is in the chat. And pledge, again, the PDF is as low as $15. And today's your last chance to get the early bird rewards. So check that out. Still, if you miss the early bird rewards, the price is still pretty good. So check it out. Support Bill, support Mobius Worlds Publishing, support indie game designers and developers. And yeah, thank you all for your ongoing support. And thank you, Bill, for joining me. again.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So also follow the Kickstarter page because we will be playing a game and posting it. So you can see firsthand how Prowlers and Paragons, Blood and Justice, Nocturne by Night actually plays out. But we are getting close now to the top of the hour, so I am going to take us to our outro. But thank you again, Bill, for all you do, all your hard work. Your community and people that work with speak so highly of you. So thank you for what you do for the community.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back. Mr. Finely is in town to perform an audit. He needs Nova to get some operators together to make his audit simpler with some aggressive accounting. He'll try to offer Nguyen first, but Mr. Finely is not above using blackmail to help clean the books. So join us for the Stuffer Shack Loss Prevention in Shadowrun's 6th World Emerald Glitch coming up next. And don't forget that we have a wonderful giveaway of a PDF of the Shadowrun 6th World Core Rulebook Seattle Edition. Thank you so much to Catalyst Game Labs for donating such a great prize. And you can enter to win for free by typing #RemPC in the chat. You can get additional entries to win by going to our donation page at www.remalternus.com/Nguyen. All donations help us to pay our cast and crew and keep producing content. And our biggest donors can have a message read at the end of the episode by the Shadowrunner of their choice. So check it out. Also, I'm going off script. This is a really cool episode because we have a special guest GM who is Tom or Teslan, who is our tech person. So you finally get to meet Tom in person. We also have more shows like Shadowrun Emerald Glitch on our Twitch channel. We stream 5 to 6 days a week over on twitch.tv/masterofrem, including the Dresden Files RPG, Shadowrun 5th edition, Shadowrun 6th edition, Steampunk Fantasy D&D, and more. So check us out and give us a follow. And thank you all for joining. Next week, we'll have Shadowrun line developer Jason Hardy join us to talk about Shadowrun Edge Zone, the upgradable card game coming to Kickstarter on September 20th, followed by our one-shot show's actual play of the game itself. And we're going to have a Shadowrun legend with us as well, Bull the Orc Decker. So follow the Kickstarter. The link is in the chat. And we'll see you next time, RemPCs. Bye.